I don't think I can ever describe the moment everything changed in my life without feeling a shudder of disbelief. It was a typical Tuesday, or at least it started out that way. My wife, Sarah, and I had been married for 6 years. We had our ups and downs like any couple, but overall I thought we were solid. We had a nice little house in the suburbs of Chicago, a poodle named Max, and a routine that made me feel comfortable and secure. That's why it came as such a shock when I started getting these strange texts saying, "Check the freezer." At first, I thought it was just a prank or some random spam message. I mean, who texts someone that? But when I got a second text, I started to feel uneasy. Sarah had been acting a little off lately. She was more irritable than usual, and she kept her phone glued to her side, even at night. She would give me short answers when I asked her about her day, and I noticed she was working late more often. I brushed it off, convinced it was just work stress or perhaps her trying to juggle everything. And then there were the whispers. I'd overheard her on the phone a couple of times, giggling like a schoolgirl. It made me feel a mix of annoyance and curiosity. Who was she talking to? What was so funny? I tried to shake off the nagging feeling of suspicion because I loved her. I believed in trust and the vows we took, but those texts kept coming. Check the freezer. It was like some cryptic message that gnawed at me, taunting my curiosity. I was sitting on the couch one evening, staring at the phone in my hand, a cold knot forming in my stomach. It was then, driven by a mix of anxiety and dread, that I decided to check the freezer. I opened the door, expecting to find frozen vegetables or last week's leftovers. Instead, what I found made my heart drop. There, beneath a pile of frozen meats and ice packs, was a small, dark blue box. My heart raced as I pulled it out. It was a jewelry box. I recognized it immediately. It was the same one I had bought for Sarah on our anniversary a couple of years back. But this time it was closed and tied with a ribbon. Confusion swirled in my head. Why was this here? I opened it and found the necklace resting inside. But there was more, a note. My hands trembled as I unfolded it. It read, "Can't wait to see you tonight, love. You make me feel alive." The world around me blurred as I processed the words. I felt my breath quickening, a cocktail of anger and betrayal coursing through my veins. My mind raced back to that phone call, the giggles, the late nights. The realization hit me like a ton of bricks. Sarah was cheating on me. The texts had been warnings, hints I had ignored, and I had stumbled onto the evidence. I'm not even sure how long I stood there, frozen in disbelief. All I knew was that I had to confront her. The thought of her betrayal ignited a fire within me, one that demanded answers. When she got home that night, I was ready. I'd waited, packing the living room, heart pounding as I rehearsed what I would say. When she walked through the door, her face lit up, but that smile faded when she saw the box in my hand. "Why is my necklace in the freezer, Sarah?" I asked, my voice trembling with a mix of hurt and anger. Her expression shifted to confusion, then panic. "I can explain," she stammered, backing away slightly. The confrontation erupted. She spewed excuses. "It's not what you think. I was just keeping it safe. You're overreacting." But all I could hear were lies. My heart raced as she stumbled through her explanations, each one more ridiculous than the last. I couldn't believe her. I didn't want to believe her. The emotional turmoil was overwhelming. I felt rage, sadness, and an all-consuming betrayal. I had loved this woman, shared my life with her, and now it felt like I didn't know her at all. The woman standing in front of me was a stranger, and I was left standing in the wreckage of our life together. That night, we barely said a word. It felt like a chasm opened between us, and I had no idea how to bridge it. I lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, replaying the confrontation over and over, and wondering where this was all going to lead. Little did I know, this was just the beginning of a long and painful journey toward understanding what had happened and what I was going to do about it. After that confrontation, the atmosphere in our home shifted dramatically. The warmth that once filled our space was now replaced with an icy tension. I couldn't look at Sarah without feeling a rush of anger and betrayal. I had trusted her, and it felt like that trust had been shattered into unrecognizable pieces. She tried to reach out to me to talk, but every word that came out of her mouth felt like a lie. I'd never seen her like this, frantic, desperate to explain herself, but none of her explanations made any sense. The more she talked, the more I felt like I was drowning in confusion. I didn't know if her tears were genuine or just a performance to get me off her back. I needed space to think. I didn't want to be in the same house as her, surrounded by memories that now felt tainted. So I decided to take a few days off work. I told my boss I wasn't feeling well, and I packed a bag. I drove to my brother's place, hoping the distance would help clear my mind. Once I arrived at his apartment, I tried to distract myself. We played video games, watched movies, and went out for drinks. I told him I was going through a rough patch, a vague reference to Sarah's infidelity. He could see something was off, but I wasn't ready to disclose the details. I didn't want to admit how badly I was hurting. Those first couple of days were a blur. I didn't talk to Sarah. I didn't even want to think about her. I found myself staring out the window, lost in thought, replaying the moment I found the necklace and the note. Each time it sent a jolt of anger through me. I couldn't wrap my head around why she would do this. We had a good life together. Why would she risk it all for some fleeting affair? The fourth day, I finally got a text from her. "Please, can we talk? I miss you." I stared at the message, my thumb hovering over the screen. Part of me wanted to ignore it, to let the silence stretch on. But another part of me craved closure, some kind of resolution, even if it meant having the hard conversation. I reluctantly agreed to meet her at a coffee shop, a neutral ground where I could at least pretend to be calm. When I arrived, she was already there, fidgeting with a napkin, looking lost. Seeing her like that stirred something in me, compassion maybe, but I quickly pushed it down. She had broken my heart. I owed her nothing. "Hey," I said flatly as I took a seat across from her. She looked up, her eyes red and puffy. "I'm so glad you came," she said, her voice trembling. I raised an eyebrow, the anger bubbling to the surface again. "You were glad enough to lie to me for who knows how long." Her face fell and she looked away. "I know I messed up. There's so much to explain. Can you at least let me talk?" I crossed my arms, trying to maintain a wall between us. "Go ahead, but I'm not making any promises." She took a shaky breath, gathering her thoughts. "It started a few months ago, just a friend from work, someone to talk to. Then it became more. I didn't mean for it to happen, I swear. I thought it was just a phase. I thought I could control it." "Control it?" I scoffed. "You think cheating is just a phase? What were you thinking? You think I wouldn't find out?" "I was ashamed," she replied, tears spilling down her cheeks. "I thought I could keep it a secret and it wouldn't affect us. But then it spiraled and I couldn't stop. I love you, but I was confused. You were having sex with another man." My voice rose, drawing the attention of other patrons. I lowered my tone again, but felt the heat in my chest. "You think that's just confusion?" "I know it's wrong, I know, but I felt so alone and I thought you were drifting away. It was a mistake. I made a terrible choice." "Just a mistake?" I asked incredulously. "You didn't just trip and fall into bed with him, Sarah. You made a conscious decision over and over again to betray me." She looked defeated, her hands clasped together in front of her. "What do you want me to say?" "I'm so sorry. I know I hurt you. I can't take it back, but I want to fix this. I want us to work through it." I laughed bitterly. "Work through it? How do you expect me to just forget that you slept with someone else? You've shattered my trust, Sarah. It doesn't just rebuild itself overnight." She nodded, looking defeated. "I know that, but I love you. I want to make it right. Please let me prove it to you." Her eyes were pleading, and a part of me wanted to believe her, wanted to hold on to the love we once had. But the other part of me was still reeling from the betrayal, unable to reconcile Sarah's words with the reality of what she had done. I took a deep breath, feeling the weight of the decision before me. "I don't know if I can do that. I don't know if I want to." The silence that followed was heavy, filled with the realization that our lives would never be the same. I left that coffee shop feeling more lost than ever, torn between love and betrayal, and wondering if there was a way back for us. The days following that coffee shop meeting turned into a haze of confusion and hurt. I returned to my brother's place, still grappling with the emotional fallout. I felt like I was on a tightrope, balancing between wanting to salvage my marriage and the overwhelming urge to walk away from the pain. Sarah kept texting, calling, pleading for another chance, but each message only made the knot in my stomach tighten further. I was back at work, trying to maintain some semblance of normalcy while my heart felt like it was in pieces. My colleagues noticed something was off. I wasn't the same. They nudged me to join them for drinks after work, but I didn't have the energy to socialize. I could barely focus on my tasks, my mind racing with thoughts of Sarah and the betrayal that had rocked my world. One evening, I finally caved and decided to call her. I was curious about what we could possibly discuss, but I still felt the weight of distrust. When she answered, her voice was light and hopeful, a stark contrast to my heavy heart. "Hi, I'm glad you called." I took a deep breath, trying to steady myself. "We need to talk about what happened. I'm still processing everything, Sarah." "Of course, I understand. I just want to be honest with you. I want to tell you everything." "Everything," I echoed, my skepticism creeping in again. "What could you possibly say that would make this better?" "I want to be completely upfront. I've been seeing someone, his name is Mark. But it's over now. I realize I made a mistake and I ended things with him. I want to focus on us." Wait, I interrupted, feeling a surge of anger. "You're telling me that you were seeing this guy while you were with me. How am I supposed to believe anything you say now?" "I know it sounds bad, but I didn't plan for it to happen. I was confused and he was just someone to talk to. It spiraled out of control." "And what, you thought that just because you ended it I should take you back? That's not how this works, Sarah." "I know. I just want a chance to show you that I can be better. I'm willing to do whatever it takes to fix this." Her desperation stirred something in me. I still loved her despite the pain. We had built a life together and I didn't want to throw it all away without trying, but the doubt lingered like a shadow at the back of my mind. "I need time," I said finally, my voice steady. "I can't just forgive you overnight. I don't even know if I can forgive you at all." Silence stretched between us and I heard her breathing hitch. "I understand. Just please tell me you're not giving up on us." "I'm not ready to make that decision," I admitted, "but I need to think." After hanging up, I felt a mix of relief and guilt. I didn't want to hurt her, but I was also terrified of the possibility of getting hurt again. I spent the next few days in contemplation, trying to sift through my emotions. I reached out to my brother again, hoping for some guidance. "You know, it's normal to feel angry and hurt," he said over beers at a local bar. "But you need to consider what you really want. Is there a chance for you two to rebuild?" "Honestly, I don't know," I replied, feeling the weight of uncertainty. "Part of me wants to fight for her, for us, but she broke my trust and that's not just something you fix with words." "Have you thought about couples therapy?" he suggested. "That might help you both understand each other better. It's worth exploring." I wasn't keen on the idea at first. The thought of sitting in a room with a stranger, dissecting our relationship, felt daunting. But once the idea settled in my mind, it started to make sense. We needed a neutral party to help us navigate the mess we found ourselves in. That night, I finally sent Sarah a message. "We should consider seeing someone together. I think it might help." She responded almost instantly, a wave of relief evident in her words. "Thank you. I'll do anything to make this work." The following week, we met with a therapist. The first session was awkward, filled with silence and brief exchanges. The therapist, a middle-aged woman named Dr. Smith, guided us through our feelings, asking hard questions that forced us to confront the reality of our situation. "Sarah, can you explain why you felt the need to seek comfort outside your marriage?" Dr. Smith asked gently. "I felt alone," Sarah began, her eyes downcast. "I thought I was losing him. I didn't realize how wrong I was until it was too late." I listened as Sarah poured her heart out, her voice quaking with emotion. But as she spoke, I felt a mix of anger and empathy. I wanted to believe her, but the hurt was still fresh. Dr. Smith turned to me. "And how does hearing that make you feel?" I hesitated, searching for the right words. "It makes me feel betrayed. I loved her and I thought she loved me back. To find out she was with someone else, it's hard to wrap my head around." The sessions continued, each week peeling back layers of our relationship. We talked about our communication, our needs, and the reasons we had drifted apart. It was uncomfortable, but I began to see glimpses of the woman I fell in love with. As the weeks turned into months, I started to understand that healing wouldn't happen overnight. It was a long process, filled with setbacks and breakthroughs. And though I still had doubts, I was beginning to feel a flicker of hope. But just when I thought we were making progress, a text from an unknown number changed everything again. It read, "You should know your wife is still seeing Mark." My heart sank as I stared at the screen, the world around me fading into a blur. Was this the final nail in the coffin? Would I have to face the truth that perhaps Sarah hadn't changed after all? I felt the anger and disbelief rise within me again, and I knew I had to confront her once more. Receiving that text felt like being punched in the gut. The world around me faded into a background hum as my heart raced and my mind spiraled. I stared at the screen, the words replaying in my head. You should know your wife is still seeing Mark. The name felt like a dagger, each letter piercing through the facade of hope I had been slowly building after our therapy sessions. I couldn't sit idly by. I had to confront Sarah immediately. My hands shook as I dialed her number, and I could feel the anger boiling beneath my skin with each ring. She answered, sounding cheerful, completely unaware of the storm that was about to hit her. "Hey, I'm just about to head out. Where are you going?" I cut her off, my tone sharper than I intended. "What? I was just going to run some errands." I paused, trying to keep my emotions in check. "I just got a text saying you're still seeing Mark and you want to sit here and talk about errands." There was silence on the other end, a heavy pause that felt suffocating. "What? That's not true, I swear," she said, panic creeping into her voice. "Then why would someone send me that? What are you doing, Sarah?" "I'm not seeing him," she insisted, her voice rising in desperation. "I told you I ended things. You have to believe me." "Why should I?" I shot back, my heart racing with hurt and disbelief. "You've lied to me before. How do I know this isn't just another one of your lies?" "I'm not lying. I'm trying to fix this. Please just give me a chance to explain." I took a deep breath, trying to quell the storm inside me. "I need to see you. Now, we need to talk in person." Okay. I'll be home soon," she replied, her voice trembling. As I hung up, I felt a mix of anger and dread coursing through my veins. I couldn't shake the feeling that this was it, that I was about to uncover the final truth about our relationship. A part of me hoped it was just a misunderstanding, but deep down, I sensed that the betrayal could be deeper than I realized. When Sarah walked through the door, her face was pale, eyes wide with fear. I stood in the living room, arms crossed, trying to maintain my composure. "We need to talk," I said, my voice steady but strained. "Please just listen to me," she began, rushing toward me, but I held up my hand to stop her. "Let's start with the text. Who sent it? Who knows about you and Mark?" She hesitated, glancing down at her shoes as if they held the secrets to her betrayal. "I don't know. It could be anyone, maybe someone at work. I swear it's over." "Then why haven't you told me about it?" I pressed. "I thought we were working on being honest." "I didn't think it mattered anymore. I learned my lesson. I want you back. I really do." I shook my head, feeling the weight of her words crashing over me. "You don't understand. This isn't just about you wanting me back. It's about trust, and right now I can't trust you. I know I messed up and I'm sorry. Just please don't throw everything away over this." "Over what? A text? Or over your continued deceit?" My voice broke, frustration creeping in. "I can't keep defending you when you keep giving me reasons to doubt you. Please, just give me a chance to prove it to you. I'll do whatever it takes to show you that I'm serious about fixing this. I'll even cut ties with Mark completely." The desperation in her voice tugged at my heart. I wanted to believe her, wanted to see the sincerity behind her eyes, but the seed of doubt was still planted firmly in my mind. "Then let's be clear," I said, feeling the weight of the moment. "If you truly want to fix this, you need to cut off all contact with him. No more excuses. I want to see you put in the effort." "I will. I promise I'll do whatever it takes," she said earnestly, her eyes pleading for understanding. "Good, because if you don't, we're done. I can't go through this again." As the weight of my ultimatum hung in the air, I felt a mix of hope and dread. Could she really change? Could she truly let go of Mark? The uncertainty felt overwhelming. Over the next few days, Sarah was on her best behavior. She was attentive, calling and texting constantly to reassure me of her commitment. I wanted to believe it, wanted to believe that maybe we could put this behind us, but the nagging doubts always lingered. We went to therapy again, where she spoke candidly about her mistakes and her desire to move forward. Dr. Smith guided us through our feelings, encouraging open communication. I could see Sarah trying, but with every gesture of affection, I couldn't shake the feeling that it was all too good to be true. But then, just when I thought we were making progress, I received another text. It was from Mark. I know Sarah is back with you, but don't think she's over me. I'll always be in the picture." My heart raced as I read those words. Panic surged through me as I felt the walls closing in. My worst fears were coming true, and I couldn't bear the thought of being played for a fool again. I felt anger boil within me, and I knew I had to confront Sarah once more. This time I was ready for the truth, no matter how painful it might be. I shot her a quick message to meet at home, my heart pounding with a mix of fury and desperation. When she arrived, I didn't waste any time. "We need to talk about Mark," I said firmly, my voice unwavering. Her face paled as she began to stutter. "What do you mean? I thought we were working on things." "Yeah, well, that was before I got a text from him saying he's not done with you," I snapped. The color drained from her face, and her eyes widened in shock. "That can't be true. Tell me the truth, Sarah. Are you still in contact with him?" "I'm not, I swear I'm not." "Then why does he think otherwise?" Her expression shifted and a look of panic crossed her face. "I don't know, he's just trying to stir trouble. I don't want him anymore, I promise." But I could see it in her eyes, the fear and the doubt. I felt my heart sinking again as the realization washed over me. Could I really trust her again? In that moment, I knew I had to take a stand. I couldn't continue to live in this cycle of pain and betrayal. I had to make a choice. I took a deep breath, preparing to lay everything on the line. "I need to know right now, Sarah. If you want to save this marriage, you have to cut all ties with him completely." "I will, just give me another chance." I shook my head, feeling the weight of finality. "I can't wait anymore. If this is going to work, I need to see a commitment from you. No more lies, no more games." I watched as tears welled in her eyes, and I felt a pang of empathy, but I also felt a sense of resolve. I wouldn't allow myself to be hurt again. "Make your choice, Sarah. You have until this weekend." The silence that followed was deafening, filled with unspoken words and emotions that could no longer be ignored. The choice had been laid out, and I was ready to face whatever came next. The days that followed felt interminable. I was stuck in this limbo of uncertainty, oscillating between hope and despair. Each moment felt heavy with the weight of the ultimatum I had given Sarah. I spent a lot of time replaying our conversations in my head, wondering if I'd made the right choice. I loved her, after all, but the fear of being hurt again loomed large. As the weekend approached, I couldn't shake the sense of impending dread. Part of me hoped that Sarah would rise to the challenge, that she would show me she was serious about cutting ties with Mark and rebuilding our life together. But another part of me feared that she would falter, that I would be left heartbroken and betrayed once more. I stayed at my brother's place during the week, trying to give Sarah space and time to reflect. But the nights were the hardest, filled with silence and uncertainty. I'd often lie awake, staring at the ceiling, wondering where we stood. Had she really broken all ties with Mark? Was she truly committed to making this work? On Friday night, I decided to return home. I felt a mix of anticipation and anxiety as I drove back to our house. I was ready to face whatever awaited me. As I pulled into the driveway, I saw Sarah's car parked outside, and my heart raced. Would she have news for me? Would she have made the right choice? I stepped inside and found her sitting on the couch, her expression a mix of anxiety and hope. She stood up as I entered, her eyes searching mine for answers. "Hey," she said, her voice shaky. "Hey," I replied, trying to gauge her mood. "How has your week been?" "I've thought a lot. I know I messed up, and I've been reflecting on everything." "I want to make this work," she said, her voice earnest. "Have you talked to Mark at all?" "No, not at all. I swear I haven't," she insisted, her eyes wide. "I deleted his number and I blocked him on social media. I want to focus on us." A sliver of hope pierced through the cloud of doubt that had been hanging over me. "Are you sure? Because I need you to be completely honest. No more secrets." "I am sure," she replied, stepping closer. "I've realized how much I want you in my life. I don't want to lose you. I'll do anything to prove it." I studied her face, trying to read her sincerity. "Okay, if you mean that, then let's take this one step at a time. I need to see changes, and we need to go back to therapy." "Absolutely. I'm committed to this," she said, her voice firm. "I'll do whatever it takes." The tension in my chest eased slightly. It was a start, but I still felt wary. We agreed to start fresh, to be open with each other. But the question remained. Could Sarah truly let go of Mark entirely, and could I trust her enough to allow myself to be vulnerable again. The following weeks were a mixed bag of emotions. We returned to therapy, where we focused on rebuilding trust and communication. Sarah was proactive, attending sessions and genuinely trying to engage. She often brought up how she needed to work on herself and our relationship, and I could see her effort. I wanted to believe that she had changed, that we could rebuild. But as time went on, the nagging doubt returned. I couldn't shake the feeling that I was still living in the shadow of Mark. My mind would wander to thoughts of their affair, and I'd find myself getting angry all over again. On particularly rough days, I'd pull away emotionally, drifting into silence, and Sarah would notice. "Please don't shut me out," she'd plead. "I'm trying so hard to make this work." The emotional push and pull was exhausting. Sometimes I'd feel hopeful, believing we had turned a corner. Other times I'd feel overwhelmed by anxiety and resentment. I wanted to move forward, but the past loomed large, always ready to remind me of the hurt she had caused. One evening, I received a text from a mutual friend, Jenny, who was aware of the situation. "Hey, I just wanted to check in on you. There's something I need to tell you about Sarah." My heart sank. I didn't want to hear any more bad news, but the urgency in her message made it impossible to ignore. I called her immediately. "What's going on?" "Listen, I don't want to hurt you, but I think you need to know. I saw Sarah out with Mark last weekend. They looked really close." The world around me spun, and I felt the floor drop out from under me. "You're sure?" "Really sorry. I couldn't just sit back and say nothing. I know how much you've been trying to make things work." I felt rage and betrayal flooding through me all over again. How could she do this, after everything we had been through? "Thank you for telling me," I managed to say, my voice tight. When I hung up, I felt like I was drowning. I couldn't believe that Sarah would go back to him after everything we had discussed. I took a moment to breathe, trying to gather my thoughts. I knew what I had to do. Stormed back to our house, my heart pounding in my chest. When I walked in, Sarah was on the couch, the television glowing in the dim light. She looked up, startled. "Hey, you're back early." "Cut the small talk," I said, my voice low but firm. "We need to talk." Her expression shifted, and I could see the panic flicker in her eyes. "Okay, what's wrong?" "You were seen with Mark last weekend," I said, my voice steady despite the storm brewing within me. Her face went pale, and she opened her mouth to speak, but I raised my hand to silence her. "I don't want to hear your excuses. I need the truth. Were you with him?" Tears filled her eyes as she shook her head. "I swear I wasn't with him like that. I just ran into him." I could feel the anger bubbling over. "A chance encounter? Are you kidding me? You told me you wanted to cut ties. You said you were done with him." "I am done," she exclaimed, her voice cracking. I thought I was strong enough to handle it, but I was weak, and I didn't want to hurt you again. "Then why didn't you tell me? Why go behind my back?" I could see her trembling, and it broke my heart all over again. I wanted to believe her, to trust her, but the betrayal felt too fresh, too raw. "I didn't want to lose you. I was scared," she cried. I took a step back, feeling my resolve harden. "You have to understand something, Sarah. I can't keep doing this. I can't keep giving you chances and watching you throw them away." "I won't throw them away again, I promise. Trust has to be earned, Sarah, and you've failed to earn mine. I need to think about what's best for me." Her face crumpled as she realized the gravity of the situation. I turned and walked away, knowing that this time it felt different. I couldn't keep living in this cycle of pain and betrayal. I needed to put myself first, even if it meant walking away from the woman I loved. As I stepped out into the cold night air, I felt an overwhelming sense of finality. I didn't know what lay ahead, but I knew I had to take a stand for myself. The heartbreak was real, but I also felt a glimmer of strength that had been buried beneath the hurt. I would choose to move forward, even if it meant letting go of Sarah for good. As I stepped into the chilly night, the weight of my decision settled heavily on my shoulders. I walked aimlessly, my mind racing with thoughts of Sarah and everything we had been through. The streetlights flickered, casting long shadows on the pavement, a stark reminder of the darkness that had crept into our marriage. I didn't know where I was headed, but I felt an urgent need to create distance. The silence of the night was deafening, and it mirrored the turmoil inside me. My heart ached, but I knew I had to take care of myself first. I couldn't allow the cycle of betrayal to continue. I ended up at a small diner a few blocks away. It was open late, and the neon sign flickered invitingly. I walked in and took a seat at the counter, the smell of coffee and greasy food filling the air. I ordered a cup of coffee and stared blankly at the swirling liquid, mentally replaying the events of the last few months. The pain of betrayal felt raw, and yet a part of me felt liberated. I had stood up for myself, and for the first time I was taking control of my life. I couldn't keep investing my heart in a relationship that seemed to teeter on the edge of collapse. It was a hard truth to swallow, but I realized I was worth more than the heartache she had caused. As I sipped my coffee, my phone vibrated in my pocket. I pulled it out, my heart racing at the thought of it being Sarah, but it was a message from my brother checking in. "Hey man, how are you doing? I'm here if you need to talk." I typed a quick response, "I'm okay, just need some time to think." After finishing my coffee, I left the diner and walked back to my car, feeling slightly more composed. I drove around aimlessly for a while, reflecting on the decision I'd made. I knew the road ahead would be difficult. Breaking up was never easy, especially after the years we had shared. When I finally returned home, the atmosphere felt different. It was eerily quiet, and I could see Sarah's silhouette through the window, packing back and forth in our living room. My heart ached at the sight of her, but I steeled myself for what was to come. I had to remain firm in my decision. I stepped inside and she turned, her face lighting up for a brief moment before falling again as she registered my expression. "You're back," she said softly. I nodded, taking a deep breath. "We need to talk." "I know," she said, her voice trembling. "And I'm so sorry for what happened tonight. I didn't mean to hurt you again." I raised my hand to stop her. "Sarah, this isn't just about tonight. I need to be honest with you about how I feel." Her eyes widened and I could see the fear in them. "What do you mean?" "I can't keep doing this. I can't keep coming back and forth, hoping things will change. This has become too painful for me, and it's affecting my mental well-being." "Please don't say that," she pleaded, tears welling up. "I love you, and I want to fix this. I know you love me, but love isn't enough anymore. I need more than just words. I need trust, and I don't think I can ever trust you again after everything that's happened." Her face crumpled and she stepped back as if my words had physically struck her. "But I've been trying. I don't want to lose you." I felt a pang of sympathy for her, but I pushed it aside. "You lost me the moment you chose to betray my trust. I can't keep allowing that to happen. Please, let's go back to therapy," she begged. "I can prove to you that I can change." I shook my head. "I don't know if therapy can fix this. It feels like we've been fighting against something we can't overcome. I've given you so many chances, and I'm still left feeling hurt and betrayed." The silence that followed felt heavy. I could see the tears streaming down her cheeks, and it broke my heart to witness the pain I had caused. But I knew it was necessary. "I think it's best for us to separate," I said. Finally, my voice steady. "I need time to heal and figure out what I truly want." Her face went pale and she sank onto the couch, burying her face in her hands. "I can't believe this is happening," she sobbed. "I never wanted to hurt you. I thought we could make it work." "I did too," I replied, my heart aching. "But sometimes love isn't enough. We both need to find our own paths. Maybe in the future we can look back and appreciate the good times without the pain." As I turned to leave, I glanced back at her one last time. "I wish you the best, Sarah. I truly hope you find happiness." I stepped outside, the cool night air hitting me like a wave of relief. I knew this was the right decision, but the weight of finality pressed heavily on my heart. In the weeks that followed, I focused on healing. I spent time with my brother, went out with friends, and started pursuing hobbies I had neglected. I began to rediscover parts of myself that had been lost in the chaos of our relationship. Slowly, I started to rebuild my life. I attended therapy on my own, learning to process the emotions I had bottled up for so long. I learned about self-worth, about the importance of loving myself before seeking love from others. Eventually, I found peace. The heartache subsided, and I felt hopeful about the future. I realized that sometimes, letting go is the most courageous thing you can do. Looking back, I understood that the experience taught me invaluable lessons about love, trust, and self-worth. I knew that one day I would be ready to love again, but this time I would be more aware of my boundaries and needs. As I stepped into the next chapter of my life, I felt a sense of freedom and strength. I had survived the storm, and now I was ready to embrace whatever came next.